Hello, I'm Cleveland. I'm with the Gastonia Baha'i group in North Carolina. Today we're going to talk about the independent investigation of truth, which is a principle, one of the principles for world peace. I'm going to be reading out of the book, God Speaks Again. It starts at page 175. Among the fundamental principles of the Bahá'í Faith is the independent investigation of truth. As we have seen, Baha'u'llah places great responsibility on the individual to investigate truth in all matters. This is one of the fundamental characteristics of justice. While there is validity in some traditions, and while Baha'u'llah counsels us to seek out the opinions of wise and trustworthy people in all important matters, he warns us not to rely solely on these things. We must also think, search, and eventually reach conclusions for ourselves. In no area is this more vital than in matters of faith. In the Book of Certitude, Baha'u'llah points out that the human tendency to cling to false traditions has always been one of the main reasons for the rejection and persecution to which every messenger of God has been subjected. In other texts, Baha'u'llah upbraids the rulers of his day for relying on the opinions of corrupt ministers rather than working to ensure justice themselves. Baha'u'llah decrees that humanity no longer needs an ecclesiastical class to be responsible for the spiritual guidance of others. The only true intermediary is the messenger of God. Hence, there is no clergy in the Baha'i Faith. In this age, every human is capable of recognizing the truth for themselves. Thus, we are all responsible before God for our own actions. This is one of the most powerful teachings when it comes to spiritual growth and understanding how we need to react in the faith for ourselves and towards others. I'm going to go back and read about people blindly following the clergy. This is going to be on page 49. And this is a supplement to what I just read about religious leaders and taking personal responsibility for our own personal spiritual growth. The people blindly follow the clergy. Baha'u'llah singles out religious leaders for special blame. Theirs is the great responsibility of leading the faithful, yet they have always been in the vanguard of the enemies of every prophet. Leaders of religion in every age have hindered their people from attaining the shores of eternal salvation, inasmuch as they held the reins of authority in their mighty grasp. Some for the lust of leadership, others through want of knowledge and understanding, have been the cause of deprivation of the people. By their sanction and authority, every prophet of God hath drunk from the chalice of sacrifice, and winged his flight unto the heights of glory. What unspeakable cruelties they that have occupied the seats of authority and learning have inflicted upon the true monarchs of the world, those gems of divine virtue. Content with the transitory dominion, they have deprived themselves of an everlasting sovereignty. Thus their eyes beheld not the light of the countenance of the well-beloved, nor did their ears hearken unto the sweet melodies of the bird of desire. For this reason, in all sacred books, mention hath been made of the divines of every age. So this is specifically talking about there are to be no more clergy, no more rabbis, no more priests, no more ministers, on and on. And it second component of this is the people assume their share of fault because they do not think for themselves. Instead, they act based on the expectations set by their leaders. And this can also be expectations set by members. Unto every discerning observer it is evident and manifest that had these people, in the days of each of the manifestations of the Son of Truth, sanctified their eyes, their ears, and their hearts from whatever they had seen, heard, and felt, they surely would not have been deprived of beholding the beauty of God, nor strayed far from the habitation of glory, but having weighed the testimony of God by the standard of their own knowledge, gleaned from the teachings of the leaders of their faith, and found it at variance with their limited understanding, they arose to perpetrate such unseemly acts. So, this is where Baha'u'llah is letting people understand their spiritual growth can only happen when they themselves study, examine, question, and only then, after this careful examination and after thoroughly understanding, leaving no stone unturned, what the scriptures, the literature, the guidance says. And this is a very powerful change in religion. Following this is the subject called backbiting. And just give you an example of when people come into the faith, they're always asking, what does the faith say? What do I have to do? What do I have to think? What do I have to believe? And who do I have to reply to? Who do I have to look to? And you're given complete freedom. And where you get into problems is with other people and backbiting. Backbiting is like gossip. It's similar to earlier teachings of judge not, lest ye be judged. And you have more problems of yourself to deal with than to take time to worry about anybody else. And this means not even thinking, oh, is this person doing wrong? Is this person incorrectly doing this, incorrectly doing that, interpreting this wrong? Not even speaking to it with other members. You've got your own spiritual growth to deal with. And this is all spiritual growth. It's talked about, we can't judge anybody. We don't know where they've been, where they've come from, what were they taught, what were they not taught, what were their circumstances when they were young and growing up, what happened to them, what happened to their families, how did the families respond or react to different situations. And so, no matter what, you can't insert anything into this. It's like, well, it's okay, except for this. No. Everybody is allowed their own spiritual journey without any interference by any member of the Bahá'í Faith. In the Bahá'í Faith, everybody is at an equal level. Nobody is above, nobody is below. And the main thing in life is, what are you doing for yourself? how are you leading your life? Are you being supportive of your family? Do you help? Do you do what you need to do so the family can grow? That is the main problem, the main concern, in that other Baha'is will try to call out other Baha'is. And they totally, maybe they just didn't investigate the truth themselves. They don't understand what the independent investigation of truth is. They don't really understand how people are not to follow the clergy, not to follow anybody, and not to backbite. And it happens. And so part of what I'm trying to do here is bring it all together. How to thrive and how to survive in the Baha'i Faith and know your rights as a Baha'i, and so you can protect yourself from people that are weak and can't stop from backbiting, can't stop from looking at others and kind of coming up to you and dancing around the subject and him hawing and um, the things that they do to try to like pull out the things that they fear you're doing wrong. They maybe come back and slip you a piece of paper that has a quote of Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha or Shoghi Effendi. And it's a hard thing to swallow for a lot of people coming from past experiences. The simple fact that everything that Baha'u'llah wrote is under the order of Baha'u'llah through the independent investigation of truth, not to blindly follow clergy or anybody else, and study until you understand at the heart of each bit of guidance. And here's the last that I want to talk about is one more time, the independent investigation of truth. Among the fundamental principles is the independent investigation of truth. Baha'u'llah places great responsibility on the individual to investigate truth in all matters, and also commands everybody else to mind their own business, pay attention to their own faults. This is a fundamental characteristic of justice. And here, to re-emphasize, while Baha'u'llah counsels us to seek out the opinions of wise and trustworthy people in all important matters, and that is also to be considered Abdul Baha Shoghi Effendi. They have wise and trustworthy in important matters, but warns us not to rely solely on these things. We must also think, search, eventually reach conclusions for ourselves. And in no area is this more vital than matters of faith. And this is very difficult for a lot of Baha'i to accept, because they're coming from a past mindset, a wrong mindset of fear, and not thinking like an adult, a parent, but still thinking like a child. And terrified to do anything that's wrong. They want to be right. Um, and something that is also kind of hard for a lot of Baha'i is all the Baha'i guidance is for the whole world. And the primary function is to get everyone to realize we have one source of creation. We have one creator. And we're one humanity. And now is the time to start the unification of all humanity under the one God, globally, regardless of skin color, regardless of gender, regardless of the geographical area of the earth that you're on. And that's what all this leads to. How to lead a good life, not a selfish life, not a greedy life, not a hateful life, and cooperate amongst the neighbors around the entire world. This is our obligation as each individual can focus on. We're one humanity on one earth with one creator. And it's clear that we've allowed to let others lead, and it's not gone anywhere. So we have to be the ones, no matter who we are, no matter how much money you make, don't make, what clothes you wear, what cars you have or don't have. We're the ones that are obliged to bring global peace to the planet. And that's all for today. I appreciate your time. As you can see, this is not a professional production. I don't have a script. And a lot of this is my personal opinion, but I do believe that it is following the guidance. And the thing that you're going to come up with in the Bahá'í Faith are those who haven't studied enough. But if you know and you are firm in the guidance and in the teachings and the compassion to know that you've got your whole life and you have the life after for spiritual growth. And nobody has to be a Baha'i to have the same results. In the Baha'i Faith, the guidance is there's no hell reserved for sinful people. Hell is simply the individual and the distance that they place between themselves and the love of God. So there's no place of hell. It's more of an emotional state. And heaven is not a place. It's not a special place reserved for the most pure, special people of a specific faith. Is for everybody, and it is the opposite of hell. Heaven is the soul and its desire to want to be closest to the love of God. So we see they're not things. There never has been this situation. There never has been this situation and there never will be. And we can rest assured that all of the people that we have loved and all the people we've hated, all after death move towards God's love. And only our own thoughts can keep us away from God's love. And I think that's enough tonight. I appreciate you listening. And if you have any questions, go ahead and post below. But just know that most of the questions need to be, where can I find the best books that I can study so I can put all this together? I became a Baha'i in 2005, and I struggled. And it's taken me almost all this time to be able to piece this all together. There's no like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And as you can see in the independent investigation of truth, it's tied tightly to people are not to follow clergy. We're not to have clergy anymore. And that we have to, our spiritual growth is totally dependent upon our own ambition. And that we cannot judge other people. We can't even think that they're not doing right or wonder if they're doing this or that. It's their spiritual journey. So until the next time, bid you peace.